I'm just gonna make a video on this choke mechanism because I think that was causing me a lot of problems. But if you look in here, this choke mechanism is right here. If you try to pull it with your finger like this, you see how it springs back? When I pull it like this, it springs back. You see, that's how it should be. If you pull it like this and it sticks right here, then you're gonna have problems with the choke staying on a little bit. So I'm pretty sure you should check to make sure that this thing springs back, because that's the position it should be in when you're riding. And see those screws right there, they had too many plastic washers on there, and the thing could literally stick right here. So that would be applying some choke all the time. So I would make sure, if you're going to take it apart, see these little prongs right here? When you pull them out, they should spring back. It's on both sides. See how they spring back? That's pulling it back. It has nothing to do with the cable itself. The cable is very has a lot of slack in it, and if you I'm going to apply the choke now and see how when I push it back, when I get to the end, see there, it's on. If I push on that prong, it should not move at all back towards the bike. See, I'm pushing on it right now, and that's as far as it'll go. But if those things were stuck, if those prongs were stuck, then what would happen is when you bring the choke back, they would literally, they wouldn't return properly, you know. So that's what I would check too, to make sure those things are definitely because what would happen is I think how you could check it is by making sure that it's always contacting the metal that's when you bring it back. See how it's like contacting the metal, and then when it gets to a certain point, then it releases. You see that? Now if you put the choke on, and then when you're pulling it back, the thing sticks, then you'll see that metal pull away. You'll know that the spring in there is not working properly. So that's why I would definitely check on the choke. But mine's working, because you see when it gets to a certain point, it stops. But the reason it stops is because the spring has literally pulled it all the way, you know, to as far as it can go. I'm trying to see, I'm trying to demonstrate a little better, but see if I pull this prong, it snaps back. You see? It's pulling it back into the carburetor. It won't go any farther. So I would definitely check that. And make sure these, because I literally had to take these plungers here and like move them back and forth in there and loosen them up. Otherwise, when you're riding, the choke could potentially, you know, I don't know if this thing is strong enough to pull those back into the, you know, it would literally get to that point and then it would stop, you know. So you could see it's like a brass plunger that goes in there. See that? But that's off. As long as it's making contact all the way back, you know that spring is working. See? So, but if you pulled it like this, and this thing was still like, in other words, you put the choke on, and then as you were pulling the choke back, this prong stayed out. If this prong stayed out while it was returning, you would know that this plunger is not working right. So these things are, you need like a little wrench to get these off. They're very soft rubber, and they're not easy to get. They're not tight, but they're a little tricky to get off. But I would definitely check that. But you could see where those little plastic washers are right here. And when I had too many on there. I don't know if they do that purposely or what, but now this thing can spring back on its own. It doesn't need, if I took that cable, disconnected the clutch cable right now, I'm not the clutch cable, but the choke cable, sorry, it would, I could literally pull that thing and it would snap right back. So Anyway, that probably check that too, so you're not riding with the clutch on. I'm not the clutch. Riding with the choke on. Anyway,